Welcome back, everybody, to the Huntin' Dad podcast. I am sitting here with my favorite taxidermist in the world. We've linked up, and we wanted to sit down today and cover some tactics as far as taking care of your harvest, things that you should and should not be doing, field care, cuts, things of that nature, and everything that leads up to it. But, of course, we're going to start this off with a dad joke.
Let her rip.
I literally had to find one when I was in your driveway.
Oh, yeah?
It says, I got an email the other day explaining how to read maps backwards. It turns out it was spam. It took me a minute to figure. It took me a second. I'm like,
all right.
Maps backwards.
I got you.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways. But by the way, guys, if you're listening right now or you're watching, be sure and head back out real quick. Pause this, jump off, go leave me a 5-star review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts and jump back in here. And, man, we're going to kick this thing off. Jason, when did you get into taxidermy, and what made you get into it, man?
Well, I've always been interested in taxidermy ever since I was out of high school. In high school, I've always had my animals done, and I worked in college at a shop for a while, and but he never let me do much detail, and so I kind of lost interest in it and moved into other things. But then about 5 years ago, my factory was going to shut down, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to get back into factory work again, and I didn't want to get back into construction. I'd done a lot of that, and so I kind of just ended up watching YouTube videos and on how to actually do the detail work. Got hold of a taxidermist, asked him if he had some capes. I was going to try it there in my garage just off the YouTube videos, and he ended up kind of taking me under his wing. He's getting ready to retire. He's a great taxidermist up in Meade County. Ronnie Ballman is his name.
Meade County, Kentucky.
Yep, and he's just a great guy. And we've become super, super good friends. Still talk to him almost every day. And he just took me in under his wing and said, hey, I'm getting ready to retire. I'd like to see this passed on. And so we spent a couple of years, working at the factory and at his shop. He was getting work done. I was getting an education. It worked out great. A win-win situation. I just kind of fell into it. And we both kind of agreed that I was able to do it. And so I just kept going, and now I'm finishing my second year in this shop, my own work.
Nice. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. I couldn't remember how we got linked up because I had been using a different studio up the road, probably, an hour from here, and they weren't bad. It's just things about them was questionable. Do you remember how
I don't.
Found your shop?
I remember we just kind of hooked up on Facebook somehow, and I told you if you ever felt like you wanted to try somebody new and try somebody local to give me a shot, and you did, and
it's worked out fine.
We've we're making it through.
I'm glad we hooked up on Facebook, not Tinder.
You and me both, bud.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've kind of got a couple bulletin points here that I kind of wanted to touch on, and we're going to touch on a lot of things, but right off the bat, I want to ask you about any taxidermy myths or exaggerations that you hear a lot, and then we'll kind of get into the field care side of it.
I went out with a girl not too long ago, and she was a fairly classy, uppity woman, I could tell. Above my level, I could tell. And but it was the one thing, and I hear it a lot, does it stink? And isn't it gross working on these animals, And I said, if the animal is stinking and is rotten, we're beyond what I can do with it.
Yeah.
We've gone too far. And I asked her this question, and I would ask anybody that question. Would you stick your hands into a pound of hamburger and pat out a hamburger patty with your bare hands? And she said, yeah. And I said, what I do is no different.
Probably cleaner.
The meat that I'm working on is fresh. It's clean. It better be clean. We're going to address some of that here after a while. And so no. Now my skull cleaning business, that's pretty rotten. I use maceration on that, and so that gets pretty foul.
Yes, it does. He's like, you want to come see my building? I wish I just said, hell no. I'm good. Just let me know when that Euro's done.
Yeah.
I don't care if I ever smell that again.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Oh, gosh. So we're approaching quickly here in Kentucky, the Tennessee area, velvet season. And I know I kind of got the bulletins lined out for, late and rut deer first. But let's go ahead and touch on the early season deer. Early season, you're dealing with, very short hair capes.
Definitely.
You're dealing with capes that are kind of, what's the term for that? Where it's not molting, that's birds. They're shedding that.
Well, they're just in a transition.
Yeah, they're starting to get that.
Yep, they're starting to get their winter hair, pushing out their summer hair. And that's what makes them cool, too. I mean, that red summer hair mixed in with that dark, new hair, boy, they're beautiful.
They are.
And but it's still behaving the same. The hair. You still treat them the same.
Then of course the velvet.
That's where you need to pay attention.
Be careful.
That's one thing that in hide care, it's all the same. Whether you're dealing with a deer in the summer or rut, late season, the one thing that I try to make sure people understand is that as soon as you deliver your shot, whether it's a bow, gun, whatever, as soon as that deer dies, the decomp and the breakdown starts immediately. Nature wants to decompose that animal.
Really?
So the bacteria and the breakdown of your animal starts immediately. As soon as the blood stops pumping, here comes the bacteria.
Okay.
And so whether it's a summer deer or whatever stage, you still want to handle your deer the same exact way. And the number one thing you want to do is ask yourself, am I going to mount this deer?
Yeah.
Do I want to do taxidermy work on this deer? And if your answer is yes, then that's going to change how you behave for the next several hours.
Right.
Okay? You're going to want to treat that. You're going to want to treat that deer just a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. We have guys, man, they strap a rope to their antlers and drag them behind a four-wheeler for 500 yards, and then bring that to us and expect us to do something with that. Well, I mean, you just jack the hair up so bad. What do you expect? And so the rules that I go through are, number one, keep it clean.
Yep. The
less blood, dirt, dragging it through mud, all of that stuff is not good on it. So the first thing that you're wanting to do is keep it as clean as possible, okay? Mm-hmm. And so, avoiding that dragging, that does nothing but damage your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, causes some hide slippage, and there's a lot of things that cause hide slippage. We could talk about that here in a little bit. But so in keeping it clean, there's guys that take it back to camp and they hang it up and they think, and I understand this, I want to spray that down with water and wash all that mud off of it. Bad idea.
Why?
Bacteria.
Okay.
And I'll explain it just like with the maceration process that I clean my skulls with. I do nothing but nurture and grow the bacteria that's in tap water to clean the meat off of my skulls. So there is bacteria in water, mm-hmm. that will want to break down flesh when it's left on there. You're introducing bacteria to your cape. Not good. So spraying them with water is a no-no, even though it sounds good. One other problem we get, guys want to take them and hang them up by their back feet and let them hang for a day or two. Mm-hmm. We call those waterheads. All right?
Okay.
And when they finally get to us, after that process happens, they are so swollen and so full of fluids that, their eyes are swollen shut, mm-hmm. and, we're taking a scalpel in there, and you can't tell where's my knife at against that skin. Where's, what's going on? There's so much fluid in there. And so hanging a trophy upside down and letting all the fluids drain to his face is not a good thing either. But the main thing is to get them frozen ASAP. If you can't, if you need to get, especially here in Kentucky, I mean,
it's warm.
We got days plumb up in November.
It's hot.
That, man, we're dealing with 70, mid 70s, hunting in short sleeves, dang near, and if it's 60, 70 degrees out, and you shoot your deer at 7 a.m. and you let him sit out for 10 hours in that. It's not good. You need to either A, cape him and put him in a freezer, mm-hmm. or get him here. Get him to your taxidermist within a couple of 2 or 3 hours, and that way you can get the work done or get him under control.
What's a good average number? There's like an extreme number to where like the deer is borderline like the cape is broke down already, and then there's one where like you shot him, he fell right beside your truck, you put him in the truck and come straight here. What's that average number? That's a good number to get him here to where that maybe they don't have to be frozen or put on ice in relative, 60, 70.
In that 60 to 70 degree heat, I don't like them being in 60 to 70 degree heat more than 6 or 7 hours.
Okay.
At max. That's just me.
Right.
I'm sure other people would. But I don't want them in that kind of heat more than 6 or 7 hours.
You just get into that weird, like, as a YouTube guy, filming my hunts, producing content for companies and stuff like that. It's like, obviously it's all about the fun you have, harvesting the animal, killing the animal, whatever, and recovering the animal. Once you recover him, sometimes it takes a while to find him too. You got to take that into account. The first thing, I'm thinking when I get to the animal is pay respects, and I like to honor the animal. I like to take really good photos, and I've gotten quick at it now, whereas back in the day I want to pull them over here and do this and that and everything else. It's like just make the most of what you get when the thing dies somewhere, and get your pictures and get them out as quick as possible.
I respect that, and I understand it. I'm the same way.
Right.
I want my, I understand. You're all excited. You want to capture that moment, and all, and of course, whatever. But, I've had guys that drive the roads with their deer in the back of a truck for 3 days wanting to show all their buddies. And then, mm-hmm. I had one, deer came in to me this year. It was in the back of his truck for 4 days.
Ugh.
The head. And, of course, I explained, man, this is going to be, I don't know, The cape ended up working.
Right.
I've got that deer in there drying right now.
It was probably cooler outside.
And we made it through. I'm just saying, why would we do that, and why gamble,
right.
With a trophy buck?
Now, your best bet's to get it to your guy as quick as possible. And then, of course, you guys aren't going to get to that deer tomorrow. So maybe ask for your rack back. You want to take that rack and go show your buddies. Let your guy, cape the deer, cut your skull cap off, and take the skull cap with you, get it salted, and and then go show your buddies.
Yeah, but then make sure you get it back to him.
Yeah, I know. I was bad about that this year, wasn't I? Yeah.
Hey, real quick before we move on about that velvet.
Okay, let's talk about the velvet. Handling those antlers.
That's going to be your big thing. I had a call on it the other day. A guy asking me about it, and the thing about it is, number one, when that deer falls, especially this year. I mean, we're coming in on the 6th.
Yeah, it's a little bit later.
And that 6th through the 10th, that week right there. I mean, you're talking about a 50-50 shot. The way I look at it, you got about a 50-50 shot of your deer still being in velvet, regardless whether he is or whatever. If he's still in velvet, you got to know. Anytime you kill a velvet, he's getting ready to shed. He's on the back end of growing, and he's about ready to peel that velvet. It's delicate. It's tender. So, number one, keep blood off of it and keep it clean. Again, we'll reiterate that over and over again. Keep it clean. Don't be grabbing hold of them.
Don't squeeze it.
Yeah, don't be grabbing hold of it like a bone set and think that it's good to drag him through the woods. I tell people this. If you can get a side-by-side to him and just pick him up and load him, grab him by his ear butts, get him set in a side-by-side or in the back of a truck if you can. Trucks are, hard. But, like you public land guys, but I've been there, hunting on the back end of public ground when they don't allow vehicles and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Get yourself one of those dollies or something, anything other than grabbing hold of them horns and dragging him. And so, yeah, just be mindful that it's getting ready to peel. And so twisting on it and squeezing on it is not good for it. And then also, I encourage, and this is what I do, I cape him, and I take that head off right where he falls.
Yeah.
Get your picks, cape that sucker out right where he fell, and take him out in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
If you can. That's the way I would encourage anybody to do it.
So you don't. There's not a lot of people. I mean, I feel like I started packing out deer somewhere around 2017, 18. Started really thinking about it. It's almost the way that I prefer to do it now, just because it's so much less work. Now, obviously, if the thing dies within 100 yards of your truck, 100 yards of whatever, 100 yards of wherever you can get to him, get him to something to haul him out, that's ideal. So pretty much what you're saying is, and it should be common sense to everybody, if you got to drag, especially an early season deer, especially with velvet on, there's no such thing as grabbing them by the antlers and pulling them out.
I discourage it.
This is why your
greatly.
Early season, this is why some of your taxidermists will charge you more, obviously, for velvet, because it takes extra care to take care of it and preserve it. And it's like, 9 times out of 10, you're probably screwing your cape up somehow. So,
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, you're taking a risk at screwing your cape up, dragging them. And that can show up later. After the tanning process. You start losing hairs, and you're like, what? What in the heck? Some people might disagree with me on that too. Who knows? But I don't see anything good out of dragging hair across the ground, especially if you're dragging it from against the grain. That none of it's good I think on those hair follicles.
Yeah, I remember I hooked my tether up to a doe I killed years ago. I was so gung-ho. I was like, I bought this kayak. I'm paddling out a damn deer. I don't care what it takes to do it, which was the stupidest thing. To this day, it's the dumbest drag out I've ever did. I took 2 hours to drag this stupid doe out of the woods just to put her on a kayak to say I did it. And by the time, I never even looked back at her hardly. I never flipped her or nothing. I pulled this deer with my saddle attached to me for hours until I got to that boat. And when I flipped her over on the boat, it looked like one of them damn hairless cats on the other side. There was no hair. It was gone. It was 100% gone. And it's like that. My old taxidermist back in the day when I lived in McLean County was Velma Smith. And anybody from that area knows Velma.
And anybody in the taxidermy world, period. She's been a heavy hitter for a long, long time.
That woman, if you go in her shop, you better be ready to stay for an hour. She will talk your head off.
She's a dandy.
I love that woman to death. She's high on her prices, and there's a reason. She is a world-class person. Like, she does phenomenal work. And she used to be able to look at my deer and be like, you drugged this thing, didn't you? And I was like, gosh, damn it, Velva. Get off me. I can't help it.
I mean, it is what it is. You can tell.
Yeah, it's funny. So, let's see what you got here. When in doubt, call and ask. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, you wanted to get into the caping and stuff, and
yeah.
along with it's just like what I talked about the other day with a guy called me and asked me about, man, my son's watching a big velvet, and I said, man, I'm so glad you called and asked before you go and drop this deer, find out what you need to do beforehand, and if you're in a mess, I've seen so many guys bring their deer in here that's all jacked up, and they say, well, I just didn't know. Well, then find out.
Google.
Call and ask.
Google is awesome. You can find anybody.
Call me. It's my job. I'll tell you. And as best I can. And if I can't, I'll find an answer, one way or the other. But the thing is, it's better to, there ain't no shame in asking. I had to ask somebody how to put air in a tire the other day. It is what it is.
You're going to have to explain that.
I prefer people to call and ask. Watch the videos. We're getting ready to get into the caping, and it's probably one of the number one things that we deal with that is preventable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the biggest every year that I use my spare capes up. Because people just don't pay enough attention.
So touching on that, like that guy was watching that big velvet deer, which, by the way, if you're listening, you done jinxed yourself and your son. Now you're not going to kill him. Joking. But if you are traveling out of state, if you are traveling somewhere, a lot of people come to Kentucky. You guys come up here, you bow hunt, you scare off all the deer I've been watching for 3 months, you leave and you come back during the rut, and then you end up killing them anyways. What I would do is, let's jump on Google. I'm going to be hunting this WMA or this WMA or this national forest. Where is a taxidermist that's close to that? Where can I take this thing if I need somebody in a pinch? Because you've got to read up on your regulations nowadays. I mean, that stuff, it's tough on hunters.
There's no doubt.
Tennessee, last year, I had to take a hacksaw to a deer that I wish was on my wall because, one, I lied to my wife about where I was. She didn't know I was in Tennessee. I just told her I was going to put cameras out and end up killing a deer. So I've killed this deer. I'm in a time crunch. I've killed him in a state where you cannot transport that thing back across state lines. And I was in a rush, and I took a saw to his head and cut his skull cap off, and I regret it. So you need to have a plan for a taxidermist, somebody to maybe help you freeze that thing or flash freeze it to get it home, whatever it may be. Call the guy, ask to see some work. There's 100 different things that you need to line up just in case that magical moment happens and you tag something, especially in early season. We can kind of transition into the caping part of it now, unless you got something to touch on with that.
No, let's get on into that caping because it is the most important part of what the actual hunter is required to do, and we'll discuss that too. Our billing, a taxidermist billing cycle starts with a removed head on a table. It's the hunter's obligation. Typically, is the hunter's responsibility, and it's just one of those things that is expected. If you're going to hunt, you need to learn how to take the head off. And so there's all kinds of YouTube videos out there. Hunt Stand is the one. I think I put that on my webpage. Man, they made a great one. And of course, one other thing, Taxidermists are different. Everybody's different in taxidermy. Taxidermy is just one of those things to where there's no set, we do it this way. We do it this way. Everybody does it the same. If you line up 10 taxidermists and talk about the way they want to mount deer and the way they want their stuff, man, you're going to have 10 different ways of everybody's doing it different, you know. Mm-hmm. I want my deer caped a certain way, you know. Some people want them socked all the way down that arm. You know, I want mine laid open. And it's, you know, number one, to me, there ain't a form that I use, not one single form that I use that's a usable thing for me. And so I prefer people to lay those legs open, follow that seam that goes up from the knee all the way up into that brisket. God gave them the line to follow.
Yeah, well, it's white and brown.
It's white and brown. I mean, it don't come no plainer and no cleaner than that.
Yep.
And so I'll kind of roughly explain. When that deer is hanging from his back legs, you know, number one, when you go to gut that deer, and it's a huge mistake that I see, is they're built with a sternum just like we are. Mm-hmm. Their rib cage comes to a V right there in that brisket, right in here.
Yep.
Okay? So don't take your knife and blow plumb up into his throat. Mm-hmm. You know, stop back there. Okay? Before you get to that V. From there, you're going to make an even ring, and don't veer off course. You know, I see people dip way down in the back, and then they'll, you know, make a nice even circumference ring all the way around that deer. You know, and of course, the difference in these mounts, it's like this one here. You know, this is just a regular shoulder mount, and so that is okay. If you're going to do one of them pedestals,
you need to go way back.
You need to go on back there close, you know, about there in front of where his ham is, you know.
I wish people could see this right now. I may have to post a picture of it, but he's got this shooter buck target set up in front of us, and he's got red lines drawn on where to cut this thing around for a pedestal, around for a shoulder mount. He's got lines drawn on the legs to where to cut it there, and he's even got a little yellow dotted line to where you cut it if you just want to do a Euro mount.
I use that for the customers that come in here to the shop
that have a screwed up thing. It's like, next time do this.
Well, I mean, you know, not necessarily. I don't ever aim to come across as, man, you know, I get it, man. Right. Not a lot of people know what I do in here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Hunters don't understand what all we got to do. I get it. And so it's our job to educate while I'm sitting at this table, you know. And so I use that as a tool to kind of help guide people along and educate them on how to make the right cuts. And so we were at that circumference cut. And once you make that circumference cut, like we said, go down there around that knee, all about, you know, halfway down that leg on his knee, and make another 2 circumference cuts on each one of them, and then follow that line. And the number one thing that we see is people veer off course. They get off of that brown and white line and blow plumb into the white armpit. If you're cutting white, mm-hmm. you're cutting wrong.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Sorry about that.
You know, if you veer off course and you go into that white, well, you're in the wrong area. You know, you're cutting his armpits,
gotcha.
and we need those intact. You know, and so you know, just follow that brown and white line, and then go straight up and meet your circumference cut. That then lays your cape out to where then you can just work it off. And when you're working them off, of course, obviously, in a real great situation, we get them with no meat on them, you know. But I would rather you leave meat than give me holes. And so just be careful making your cuts, especially once you get into that armpit. That hides really thin. It gets tight around on that brisket. And what you'll do is you'll actually you'll work your inside, and then you'll work your back, and you'll re-meet all of that back into one solid piece right around the ring of his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to there, take him about halfway down his neck before you take that head off. I like for people to leave 6 inches myself. Some say 3, whatever. But
my wife's the same way.
What? Yeah. Yeah, about that. And so the reason being, and again, everybody's different. Some guys measure capes. Some guys measure outside the fur. I measure meat. To me, I get the most accurate measurement of your deer by measuring the meat that's underneath his hair. Yeah, I mean, that's just
as a circumference.
That's right.
Okay.
And so I want that meat right here. I want that meat back here to tell how much he's swelling. And that way I've got an actual measurement of what the hide came off of. To me, I just think that gives me the most accurate measurement. That's, again, everybody's different, whatever. That's just my personal opinion, and that's the way I do it here.
When I brought my deer in that's back there drying right now last year, I never thought of it that way. And I always, when you're packing a deer out on a frame pack or something,
you don't want that neck meat.
You don't want it there because it makes it bulky and hard to strap down and stuff. So, I'm constantly trying to get it as far up to the back of his head as I could.
Yeah.
And when you told me that, I'm like, okay, that makes so much sense. I'm going to start, keeping that in mind and doing that from now on. So, whereas it'll help you pack the deer out, it won't help your guy. So,
and again, get with your own taxidermist.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. You mentioned Velma earlier. Mm-hmm. I had a guy tell me one day, Velma wants them deer socked.
Yeah.
All the way down there. That's her deal. Mm-hmm. How she preps her hides or how she does her work, that might work better for her. That's great. Me personally, I prefer them cut the way that I tell people to cut them. And the reason being is whenever I do my own hides here. I don't ship them off. I take care of everything in-house. And so when I'm working through my process, when I get to a deer that has been sleeved, number one, I always find a bunch of holes in it because you're trying to work your knife around this leg all the way down, and people cut them to pieces trying to do that. And so, again, I don't have a form that I ran across that I can't work with laying them open. It's easier for you, and it's great for me.
So let's touch on the tools because I keep a kill kit with me at all times. I actually went through and organized my gear last night, and holy hell, I had like 6 totes out, and there was different stuff for every part of season and different ones. And I found an unopened bag of jalapeno Cheetos from Iowa that I was fixing to tear into when that real big deer stepped out last year, and I threw them back in my Mystery Ranch Pop-Up 28. But in that kill kit, I've got a gallon Ziploc bag. I got like 3 or 4 game bags, and I got an extra blade or 2 still in the package, and I got a Havilland knife. Is that I know you use pure scalpel blades here, but is there like a knife brand, a knife type that you prefer that people use? Because obviously the big old black and stainless steel buck knife ain't what you're going to use to.
I'll use what I carry is, of course, is I like them Outdoor Edge, those 3.5-inch replaceable blade knives. I mean, man, they're just great. They're sharp like a scalpel. They fold up, and there isn't anything that on taking a deer's head off in the field that I can't do with that. Other than having that knife right there. That's it.
Yeah. You can detach the vertebrae with that.
Cut right to the vertebrae
and twist. See, it's tough with the one that I use because it's a very thin. You can't pry on things tough. So I always have a saw with me just in case.
If it's a velvet, of course, when I'm hunting, a lot of times I wear a vest, and I've got my own equipment list, that I carry in that vest, and in that vest I also have a fold out knife or a saw from Outdoor Edge. Also, man, they got some killer products.
Good.
And so either way, that saw that I carry with me, I mean, not only does it get me up trees, when I run into a spontaneous spot, with a climber, and I'm a climber guy, old school. I know everybody's going to them saddles and whatnot, but
I'm sorry that June is over and your month is gone. I'm just teasing.
But that little saw, man, if it's on a velvet, instead of grabbing hold of his velvet and twisting that head off, take that little saw and it cut right through a vertebrae, easy. And so, you can't go wrong with those two pieces of equipment as far as, getting the head taken care of.
Right. Okay. Well, man, so far so good.
And so what we're going to do now is get into once it's handled, what happens at my table. I wanted to discuss, some of what we talked about, with the replacing the hides.
Yeah.
The damage, and explain. I'm a little hard on guys and girls that want to bring me damaged capes. There's a lot of taxidermists out there that, man, they'll just mount it. Hey, this is what you brought me. This is what you're getting.
Yeah.
And that's great. I personally don't like Frankensteining my mounts together, here, and having a bunch of hacked up pieces that I got to try to put back together. And so at my table, I try to do my best. I inspect the cape. I lay it out. If I see that you've cut the whole brisket out of your deer, don't be surprised that I'm going to hit you with a $75 replacement cape.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know what I mean? And guys are like, well, can you just do a head mount? No, I mean, I don't, sorry. I just don't do them. And so either way, the reason I do that and the reason that I'm picky right there when you show up is, number one, it's so that I can provide you with a good quality mount, right, as best I can. And number two, it's protecting my business. Guys will say, oh, just piece that together. It'll be all right. Just, whatever. But they have to understand that when they go hang that somewhere and their buddies look at it.
Who did that?
And it looks like crap, even though you told me to do it that way.
Yep.
They're going to ask you who did that, and you're going to tell them I did that.
Yep.
And they're not going to know that, hey, man, and so I protect my business just the same as I protect your mount, as best I can, Well,
if you're going to spend $600, $500, $700, $800, whatever you guys might charge, what's another $75 for something that looks way better?
Right. I mean, bottom line is, it's what you're going to have to do. If you don't take the 4 or 5 minutes, I promise you, it takes 4 or 5 minutes to watch one of them videos.
Yeah, and they're
literally, and it'll save you so much time. It's easier to do once you learn how to do it. It's just there's absolutely no benefit whatsoever skipping your education. On how to do all that. And so the other thing about this is a big part of the cost that I encounter is in my hide prep. I tan, shave, do all my hide work here. And if the hide work, the behind the scenes, all right? Mm-hmm. The behind the scenes of what we have to do to these hides is a lot of work that people don't understand that we got to do. And that is where, man, that's where all of it is. I've been educating myself so much, and I found out, obviously, walking into this year, there were some things that I didn't like. There were some things that I wasn't happy with, some things that I was encountering on my mounts that I wasn't exactly up to par. I've never said I'll say it to every customer that walks in my door.
It's the first thing you ever told me.
I ain't the best.
Yep.
I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to progress, and I don't claim to be the best taxidermist. There's guys that'll, make my work look bad. There ain't no doubt. I look at some of these guys, and I'm like, gosh, dang, it's good. And now then, there's also some guys that make me look awful good.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty rough stuff out there.
Yeah.
But and so I'm a realist. I am what I am, and I'm learning. I feel like that I've come a long ways in the last 2 or 3 years here, and again, I had a big leg up or whatever. But I learned a lot about the hides, and it is every single thing that happens in the end depends on how we handle it from the start.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
All the way up to what I'm trying to tell you from what y'all need to do in the field. Mm-hmm. From the time that animal dies, what happens to that animal is affecting my end game, right?
Yeah.
And so we get to the replacement capes and stuff. All that hide work that I have to do, the shaving, the chemicals, the tanning, babysitting it all the way through the whole process. To do all that and spend my time and my money just to get it to the form and realize that, oh man, his whole shoulder's going to be exposed. You know what I mean? Gosh dang, we got a big, we got a big mess going on right here. Now I can't even, his whole brisket's gone. That's going to look like garbage. You know what I mean? And so I stop that as best I can. And that's where I use my own judgment. I lay them out, and I pretty much know by now what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2 good, clean armpits and a full brisket, when I lay that thing out on my table. And if I don't have that, or if I know that I lay my brisket and my armpits out and I have a big void where the back hide is underneath of it, that sucker ain't going to wrap around that top the way I need it to. Well, I nip them in the bud right there. Mm-hmm. Some people are happy with me and some people ain't,
Mad as hell. Some
guys are like, well, you know what? And I'm like, well, feel free to take it to another taxidermist and let them
tell you the same thing.
Go for it, buddy. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you. But for me and my mount, I'm not messing with it. And so that's why I am picky, and that's why I am straightforward from the start. It cost me a lot of money to not be, and it provides a crappy mount for you. And so the one thing that I've heard, guys, man, having a good time, drunk in deer camp, and oh man, hell, the taxidermist will fix it.
Yeah.
Well, if you said that, no, newsflash, it's not good. That means you're just deliberately doing things that hurt your end product. Mm-hmm. Taxidermist will fix that. Well, some things we can and some things we can't. We definitely got our limitations, and that gets into what I was trying to say earlier. I mean, we're people, just like anybody else. Right. We're trying to recreate Mother Nature with epoxy and glue and chemicals, and sometimes Mother Nature, gets in me. You know what I mean? Yep. There's some things that man, I just run into that I'll have a hide slip out of nowhere. I prepped 10 hides the exact same way, and but then this one is slipping on me.
What do you mean slipping?
The hair's falling out of it.
Oh, okay.
And so, depending on the taxidermist, if I leave it out too long or I neglect it or treat it poorly, that can happen. But people also need to understand that if your taxidermist calls you and says, "Man, we had hide slippage," or whatever, and I'm brutally honest with my customers. I mean, I had one that I showed him, straight up, and we discussed it, and it's not always my fault. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not always my fault. I mean, there's a lot of things going on internally in a deer. I had this discussion with a tannery up north that tans thousands of hides, and they said, "Hey, sometimes you're going to run into who knows what's going on internally. They might have had a wound and they got infection in their blood, or they got, who knows what all's going on." And,
right.
and of course, again, some people might hear this and disagree with me, but that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I can understand how that can happen in nature. And so people need to have a realistic view of what we're doing in here. We sometimes, man, we have a bad day. I mean, it just doesn't go our way. Well, Mother Nature's kicking our butt sometimes. And if the hunters are adding to that and deliberately not giving a crap,
yeah,
you're just adding more garbage.
You're a taxidermist, not a magician.
That's
right?
100%.
Yeah, there's only so much you can ask of your guy, especially if you don't do your part. And the deer that I killed in Tennessee on that whim last year, it destroyed me. To this day, it bothers me. One, because we're out of meat at the house. I put 5 deer in the freezer last year, and we're out. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and that one deer was so full of pus and infection in every part of his body. Cutting that deer's head off and leaving everything there, I mean, it hurt. And I struggled with it. I was like, am I even going to tell people this? I don't want people to look at me like that.
I mean,
but at some point, it's just like, at what point is it worth fooling with? Maybe he was sick as hell. The damn thing come walking in early October to a scrape late morning. How many big deer you see do that on not even a cold front? Like, I just got lucky. I literally went and hunted before I was going to hang cameras for a quota hunt on an old scrape that I found during turkey season back in 2016. I just I remember that wagon wheel. It had a scrape right in the middle of it. It's like there's native fields on the outside of this. Maybe they'll be feeding, filtering back through here, going on. Boom, killed him. It was pure ass luck is all it was. And like I said, that thing was plumb full of something going on with him. He wasn't in the CWD area, but who knows?
Who knows? They get
get beat up and poked and cut. And
that's another thing. I mean, these deer out here, me is my view on taxidermy. Again, I'm replicating wild free range deer. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a competition and stuff, I know that that whole process of mounting is way different. Of course, you can't even do them in a commercial shop and expect to survive. I mean, it just ain't. And guys need to understand,
right?
Yeah, there's a limitation to what we can do to a mount and survive business wise. I mean, we have to and
charge a fair price.
Exactly. We got to be realistic, and that's where I'm at. And that was one thing on my list was the pricing. I'm trying to stay. This year I'm going to 700 on my shoulder mounts. I'll be at 800 on my pedestals, and it stinks. I mean, the prices and everything just keeps going up and blah blah blah. And of course, it's just like. My business ain't no different than any other business. Man, these supply companies, they're going to do what they're going to do, and I got to do what I got to do. I mean, and it's unfortunate that it all rolls downhill, and so it's just that way in life. Somebody's like, man, I remember when mounts were $350, and I'm like, yeah,
you were making $15 an hour too at the time.
I remember when cheeseburgers were $1. I mean, yeah, great. I mean,
I get you.
It ain't that way no more. I mean, unfortunately, and you got the guys out here that are still in that $450, $500 range. That's cool. That's great. I price my shop according to how I mount deer and how many hours I have invested in this deer. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I personally, I spend a little more time because I do want as best I can a higher quality mount leaving my shop. You know what I mean? I don't. I want to spend some time on those details. I want to spend some time on a few of those things that matter. I got to pick and choose. I got to find a good ratio of quality and speed in order to stay afloat. Because this is all I do.
Yeah.
So I gotta keep the lights on, and so I'm constantly fighting, cost increases and stuff, and whatever. And I try to do the best I can. Coming in here at 700, you see guys that are 1,200 ahead. You see guys that are down here. I'm trying to stay in that middle of the road as best I can. I've been a hunter my whole life. We talked about why I got into taxidermy and stuff. Man, I've been out there my whole life. Hunting, sitting out there wondering, why in the hell am I doing this? Why do I find this fun? I'm sitting out here getting eaten by mosquitoes, or I'm sitting out here, I can't even feel my toes and my fingers and freezing, or whatever, sitting through rainstorms. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, you know it and I know it. There ain't nothing better than getting out there in that rain and watching that rain shut off, and boy, it's like, all right, there that rain just shut off. Everybody's getting ready to get up and move, Yep. But it's sitting in that rain and getting all soaked, you know what I mean? If you wait too long and wait until the rain's gone, you're going in too late. But either way, regardless, I done been through all that. I understand what you do to get a trophy buck.
Yeah.
And so I want to, whenever I hunted, did I have 1,200 bucks, all the time to go do a deer every year? No, mm-hmm. I couldn't afford the biggest and best all the time. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm blue collar just like everybody else, So I try to stay as best I can in that, in a reasonable price, and breaking it down into two payments works out well. I mean, give me that deposit, and then you got another, fairly small payment whenever it's done. It's doable. But again, pricing, this business is just like everything else for the most part. You get what you pay for. I mean,
mm-hmm.
If you don't care, if you just want a good basic mount, I ain't saying there's anything wrong with that.
No, and that's what a lot of guys are looking for.
If they just want a good, fast, man, this looks like a deer on my wall.
Yep.
Great. Go. There's taxidermists out there that will provide that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're that kind of guy that's like, man, I need the Ferrari of deer mounts.
I'm listening.
Man, there's guys out there that will provide that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of shopping around and finding which taxidermist that is providing the work for you.
Right.
I mean, there's some guys that haven't liked my work. I get it. Whatever. That's cool. Sorry.
Well, that's why when you pick your guy and you go in and look at what they're doing and what they're charging, it's kind of like one of the last things I wanted to allude to in this is like, you need to make your decision on what you can afford. You need to be upfront with what you're going to put down, what you guys want to put down to get you guys through as far as material, time to get started on it, things like that. What you guys expect as far as like deadlines on paying and, coming to pick it up. And some guys get mad. They don't want to wait a year and a half for a deer, 2 years, whatever. Like Velma, you take her a deer. You may not get it back for a year and a half, 2 years. And you had my deer done within what's it been, 6-7 months, something like that. Yeah. And I ain't been in no hurry to get it back. And how do you How do I guess just being up front right off the bat.
I mean, I try to do my best. I'm probably going to stop giving people trying to pinpoint an exact month. Man, it's just like this month,
Right.
or excuse me, this year. Man, I lost the whole month of February in my shop due to a roof problem.
Yeah. I remember that.
I couldn't predict that. And so it set me back a month. So everybody that I told, oh, your deer's going to be done, and everybody, and I understand everybody wanting to know, when's it going to be done? When can I expect my deer? That's the number one question we're asking. We're going to get right into that there's two things on my list that we haven't discussed. And I know we're needing to wrap this up.
No, we were good.
We're good?
We're good. Knock it out.
We're going to discuss the two things that aggravate your taxidermist.
Good. I'm sure I've done both of them.
Number one is calling me and bugging me about where's my deer, when's my deer going to be done. I get it that you want your deer. Mm-hmm. I understand it. I want my freezers empty. I get it. I don't mind it. That being said, I don't mind getting a phone call if it's, if I told you it was going to be done in July and it's the end of July and you haven't seen your deer,
mm-hmm.
I don't mind getting a phone call, whatever. But last year, for instance, I had a guy call me 4 times. He called me 4 times checking on his deer. And by the 3rd time, my answer was very short. My answer is the same as I've told you the last 2 times that you've called me. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm working on my deer. I get over 100 deer
mm-hmm.
a year, is where I'm at. Well, I'm working through them as best I can, and my goal is, and this is what I'm just going to start telling people, my goal is to have an empty freezer before the start of next season.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, I have done good.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the best I can and tell people, and so I'm not saying if it's been a while and after you've been told a time and whatever, might want to call and check on your deer. I get it. But to call 4 times during a 6 or 7 month time it's enough to kind of really make me want to not do such a great job on your deer.
If people are rushing you,
I'll give you the express mount.
Well, everybody thinks that your deer is the only deer in that shop, and there's still a few antlers hanging up here, and I don't know the process or the plan for those, but it's you got to do these in order. And I know there's some people, you pay them an extra $200, $250, they'll bump that to the front of the line, and I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I can tell you this, if somebody goes to SeaWorld like we did the other day and they pay an extra $100 for their damn ticket, and I get to watch them walk on a ride in front of me, it ain't cool. But I understand, they deserve it,
I was in a shop not too long ago down south. Man, he gets $1,500 to bump deer.
Oh my God!
$1,500 is what he said he gets
just to move them to the front
for bumping deer. I don't bump deer myself.
That's too rich for me.
I try to be fair. The only reason I'll bump deer, there's only one reason. I'll take that back. If you call me and tell me you've got cancer and you're going to die before the end of the year, I'll go ahead and bump you.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only other reason I'll bump deer is for a kid. If it's a kid's and I know they've got a birthday,
I like that.
I think it's great to be able to provide a kid with a birthday deer.
I think that's cool as shit.
And so that's the only reason my shop will ever bump deer for the most part. Everybody else, I'm getting your deer done within a year. I don't see any reason that you should be angry with me on that. And so either way, that's how I operate here. Everybody shop's different. And And so the last thing that I have on my list to talk about, and I ran into it yesterday in a conversation, and of course, this is a subject that, number one, I got to be careful how much we get involved in it, because this is a whole nother podcast, to be honest, and that's these CWD laws that I got to deal with for the state of Kentucky.
Stupid.
Well, I mean, they are my boss. I am licensed by the state of Kentucky, and so, do I want to sit and throw rocks? No, I don't.
I'll throw them for you.
Do I agree with a lot of the stuff that's going on? No, I do not. But it doesn't change, and it's the conversation I had with a guy up in Frankfurt back a few months ago when I found out that, they were going to close 3 more counties due to a case that was found in the next state over. And we've got the 3 counties that are closed down now for one captive case that, either way, it's like I tried to explain to him, there's, 6 counties around me. They've got these laws now to where I cannot have people transporting their deer intact to my shop. And it's aggravating. It's costing me a lot of money. It's costing me a lot of business. And I'm doing the best that I can with it. And so what I've come up with and what I'm trying to do is, if you are, and I'm not the only taxidermist, this is happening all over the place. I mean,
right.
I get it. This is what they feel they need to do, whatever.
It's a big money grab is what it
well,
is. I ain't stupid.
I mean,
it is. I mean, it is. EHD kills 300 times more deer a year than chronic wasting disease. And it's been busted in Tennessee. It's horse shit is what it is. They went and did all this crap with CWD. I took advantage of it. You can go down there and hunt deer with a rifle in the CWD zone on select public lands, and I did it. And guess what? Now you can buy a baiting permit in Tennessee to hunt. You know what? They say that spreads, CWD, community sites, scrapes, salts, corn piles. And now you can do it down there. That's how I know it's BS. I mean, it's just like politics in Washington.
They're backtracking a lot of the stuff down there. And it's like I told that guy, don't think for a second I haven't educated myself. I've talked to, biologists, state biologists in other states that have been dealing with CWD for 25, 30 years, okay? And I have talked with my outfitter in Kansas. He's been in the business for 25 years. He depends on big bucks, okay? Nobody gives a crap more about having a healthy deer herd than us.
Yeah.
We want a healthy deer herd. I get it. But the fact of the matter is, all these guys, Fayette County, Tennessee, for instance. I mean, if you look at the CWD map, Fayette County, Tennessee down there looks like it got hit with a turkey load.
Yeah.
That's how many red dots are on that county. Okay? I mean, it got slammed. There was a guy that I talked to down there. I've talked to several guys down there, but one in particular, he hunts a large tract. They have found 7 positive cases on that farm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Again, these states up north that have been pounded with it. And it's like I explained. I said, I'm asking all of these guys the same questions. Number one, are people getting sick and not eating the meat from these deer?
Nope.
Not one case of spread into humans has been proven. And they are eating the meat from them deer. The guys are saying, hey, if the deer looks healthy, I'm eating that meat, and deer can have CWD and still look healthy. It is a declining type thing from what I understand.
Yeah.
And so either way, they're eating the meat from these deer, and I don't want to pass along misinformation. Obviously, this is just what I have heard from actual guys that have dealt with it. Okay, and I'm just passing along information that I hear.
Right.
And so that is the number one thing that I have encountered, that nobody's getting sick. People aren't just, not unable to eat their harvest. And then number two, I'm asking, are they seeing a sharp decline in the deer numbers or in the deer population? I'm asking taxidermists. I say, hey, in your shop, are you all seeing a decrease in the amount of work that you're taking in? Are you seeing smaller deer come in? Are y'all getting mature bucks? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or are they all dying off?
Yeah.
The state biologist told me the same answer. No, we are not seeing a huge decrease in our deer harvests. And that's a state that has had CWD for 25 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay. The guy that I hunted with in Kansas, they're still taking bucks.
Big ones.
Big bucks. Kansas has done jumped up to the number 2 destination state there is for out of state hunting.
Right.
I think. And so it's still for sure in the top 3.
For sure.
And so either way, I don't know. To me personally, I wish that they would just lighten up on all of it, because if they think for one second that deer aren't swimming that river and deer are stopping at the county line and going up, well, we can't go across that county line right there. They're insane. But they have not found not one single case of CWD, and it's just, to me, even if they do, I think it's just another COVID that is going to run its course, and yes, will it kill some deer?
Sure.
Probably.
Will it kill a tenth of the deer that EHD does every single season?
EHD, man, when we're having a bad EHD year, buddy, it's bad. I mean, it does. It wipes out a lot of deer. And and it was the one thing that, and this may be another topic, that somebody else could weigh more in than me. But I was in the impression that EHD, there are things that we could do that could help prevent and help lessen those types of deaths. Things that we could do to our water sources to kill those midges.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about, somebody was talking about vaccinating wildlife. I understand that the law is we can't vaccine wildlife, whatever. And
you mean like vaccine them and let them breed and it passes on to the next?
From what I understood, there was something that maybe that we could add to the mineral sites, that could help them. That may be a myth. I don't know.
Sounds like Bill Gates.
But what I'm saying is, if there are things that we could do,
yeah.
If the state is so hungry to help our deer herd, then why not change some legislation and let us do it? I don't know. If it's doable.
They're so hungry to help our deer herd that they let healthy 18-year-olds run around with a crossbow from September 15th to January and have a, 16-day rifle season in the middle of our rut. And we have some of the best deer hunting in the country. Can you imagine if we were just like, Iowa or Kansas or something like that? Which I'm fine with, because I take advantage of our gun. I love our gun hunting. I love our gun season being during the rut. But I'm just saying, man, whew, it would be wild. And the only thing, Reese Johnson, my buddy, says this. He said, the only thing saving Kentucky from dipping down into a lower-end state as far as deer quality and deer size is our 1 buck limit, period. That's it. if they allowed the harvest of 2 deer, I think our population, I think our quality would just plummet. Because, like, back in the day when Land Between the Lakes was a bonus buck area, guess what I did? Went down there and do what I do best. Shot the first damn thing that was moving that had antlers. And it didn't count against my statewide tag, you know. It's I don't know, it's one of the things. Like you touched on the deer that don't swim the river. Well, my dad has been driving a tug for Ingram Barge Company for 25, 26 years. He's killed more booners than anybody that's ever going to listen to this podcast combined. Like, see him swim the river, can't stop, runs him over. You know, runs over deer nonstop on that thing.
There's no doubt. Anybody knows anything knows they swim rivers and lakes and whatever. You know, I don't know. That's, you know, like I said, that's a whole touchy subject that, you know, and the thing about it is there's so much misinformation and you know, again, things that I hear. The only reason I even mention them is because I've heard the same story from several different reputable people. I mean, you know what I mean? They're all singing the same song whenever it comes to that. So I'm starting to believe what I hear. But I don't know. I wish they would just lighten up and stop all this law changing. And you know, I had a guy in here yesterday talking about how he's going to go into the CWD zone and get his extra buck this year.
What?
And I said, no. I said, you need to reread that. And he said, oh no, they opened it up to where I can go into the CWD county and I can kill me an extra buck as long as I turn the head in to get tested.
That's Tennessee, and it has to be positive.
And I said, they opened up an extra antlerless on the 17th and 18th of September. It's does with a rifle. They opened it up and I want to go shoot a doe in a hot part of the year on my farm, and so I can provide them with those samples. You know, whatever. I hope nobody turns any deer in for them.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, you may not be able to throw stones at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, and there's just a couple things that I don't agree with them. I don't agree with you having to tell them where you publicly killed a deer in what county and on what public land, and they're able to post that information for everybody to see. That is nobody's business but mine, theirs, and God's, period. I don't need to be seeing where Joe Blow killed his 200-inch deer in what county, and that county has one piece of public in it, and he killed it on public, he said. So, I mean, let's connect the dots here.
Yeah. And so
I do not like Kentucky Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, here comes that. It's just like, for instance, I mean, I used to hunt up there.
That's getting bleeped out.
Oh, trust me. It didn't take long. It didn't take long, you know. Which I'm blessed with a lot of private ground or whatever, but yeah, it didn't take long for me to get tired of dealing with all that mess.
Guarantee it. Well, like we said, guys, if you're traveling, do yourself a favor, get in touch with a local guy, especially if you're hours from the house and you cannot physically. Like, there's a lot of, you kill a big deer, it's hard to fit that inside of a cooler, and you don't really want to put water on it. You just want to probably set it on top of ice, right?
Well, you definitely don't want to put water on it.
No, you don't.
And you don't want to put it under ice.
Nope.
Your best bet, coolers and ice and stuff like that ain't good. I mean, on deer hides at all. If you're out of state and you're up here hunting, or in any state for that matter, and you've got to transport a hide back home, I'm going to tell you right now, what you're saying is the best method. Get hold of a local and say, hey, man, I need to have this deer skinned off and have the skull cap removed so that I can transport it home. You know, you're going to pay for it. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I charge $75 for doing that. Other shops are charging $100. I know one guy that's charging $150 for it. You know, whatever. I mean, we'll do that. Bag it, tag it, throw some salt on it. You know what I mean, for you if you want, and that way you can transport that sucker home and
keep it good and keep yourself legal.
Right. So if you're going to travel, you're better off lining something like that up. And that being said, again, the way we're dealing now with the county, county by county laws, with what I'm doing is, and I would encourage, if any of my customers are listening, what I'm doing is, if you're from Indiana, if you're from, Breck, Meade, which, man, I'm losing a lot of business from those counties. But what I'm suggesting is get your deer in a freezer, especially, call me first and foremost.
Yeah.
If I'm getting my butt kicked with gun season,
yeah,
and I've got 40-something deer laying in my cooler,
yeah,
obviously, man, I'm imprisoned to my table. I cannot break away. Get your deer in a freezer. If you know what I mean, freeze that sucker as fast as you can. If you call me, I'm going to go ahead and fill out a ticket for you and get you in line. You know what I mean? So if you wait until December, you're not going to lose your place or whatever. But then we'll make arrangements then to come and take care of your deer whenever the time is right.
Right on.
And so that's what I'm encouraging everybody to do. Just call me. If you live in a out of state or in a county that I can't take your deer intact, get hold of me so we can work out a plan. And that's the best I can do. I got no other option.
Yeah. Well, we've been going at it here for about an hour and 15 minutes. Jason, you can tell everybody what your actual business name is, kind of where you're located relatively, and we'll hop off here, man.
Well, I'm at Blackford Creek Taxidermy. That's the name of my shop. I'm here in Lewisport, right on the Ohio River in western Kentucky.
Yep.
Is where I'm at. And so
and I am happy to drive 2 hours to you to get my deer to you.
Well, I do appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to do a good job. I just made some big strides. I think my mounts just went to another good level.
Yes, they did. I'm excited.
That I'm happy with. I haven't been disappointed up until now. But I had some things I wanted to work out, and that's the name of the game. Keep on learning. You never stop learning in my business.
That's right. That's right. Well, man, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I appreciate you taking, time out of your day to stop mounting everybody's deer to do a podcast. Everybody's
no problem. Hey, I'm gonna tell you.
I'm just teasing.
If people get educated on what we need, I'm all about it. It helps me and helps them.
Yeah, I hope this does help people, and I feel like this podcast is perfectly timed right now because people are starting to get serious about their trips and planning and things like that.
It's coming.
This is one of them things that people don't think about until, oh shit, I just shot a big deer. Now what?
And that's the thing right there. I've seen it too many times. Is guys, they don't look ahead and realize, oh man, I'm gonna go out hunting and then I got a 200-pound carcass I'm gonna have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting it mounted, and that's one of the main things I want people to take away from this. Is if you are going to mount a deer, it does require you to behave differently. Mm-hmm. Once it's dead, you've got to understand that you go, okay, I'm going to mount it, so I got to do this now. And that's the main thing.
For sure. Well, guys, appreciate you listening again. It's been a good conversation here with Mr. Jason. Appreciate all the reviews, all the kind comments, and all the good feedback. And I appreciate you guys helping this thing grow. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to go home and shoot my bow and play with the kids and get this thing nice and edited up and ready for Wednesday. And then, of course, after Wednesday, we'll see you back next Wednesday.
Sounds good, bud.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Yes, sir.